I feel like we can all agree when it comes to sports, not just the NBA, storylines are some of the most important things when it comes to creating a player, creating a team, or building up an entire league. You see it everywhere, but when it comes to the NBA, I would like to argue they are probably the most dramatic and most story-full league that there is in all of sports. And while some hardcore NBA fans don't like to pay any attention to it and would rather focus on the game itself, I'm not gonna lie, I eat that shit up every single time. The drama in this league is beautiful, and it's very clear that while the NBA was creating their schedule for not only opening night but Christmas games as well, they really factored in the storylines. They factored in, you know, what is this matchup going to look like? What will the entire conversation around this game be? And that is why I am going to be doing my, I guess, review, or we're going to be going over these insanely important games. And trust me, it goes deeper than just the storyline. Some of these games are just going to be amazing basketball, and that goes hand in hand with the whole storyline thing that I'm talking about. And so yeah, I get way too excited when I look at this kind of stuff. Let's just hop right into it, starting off with opening night, right? What are we going to expect when the season comes around, when the NBA is back in the air? Well, it looks like the day is going to begin in OKC, where the Houston Rockets will be taking on the OKC Thunder. At first glance, you're like, okay, cool. You know, the Thunder are going to be raising their championship banner. They're going to get their championship rings. And the Houston Rockets are like a fun up-and-coming team. They had a cool battle in the playoffs last year. Like, this is going to be a fun matchup. And then you remember that the Houston Rockets, they got Kevin Durant. Maybe I'm the only one that like continues to forget these moves or not really think about them immediately. So this ultimately means Kevin Durant is going to have to watch his home franchise, kind of. His home is really Seattle, but anyways, he's gonna have to watch his home franchise that he ditched to go ring chase in Golden State. He has to watch them lift up that championship banner, hold up those championship rings that he probably wanted to win super badly in OKC. I mean, if that isn't a prime storyline right there, not to mention KD is on like his fucking 10th team at this point. It is just beautiful. It is poetic. The NBA killed it with that being the first game of the night. Also, a little bit of a side fact here, but this is also, I think, the first game on Peacock or on the new broadcasting studio. So when you guys watch that OKC versus Houston game, look out for differences. I'm very excited to see how Peacock does in their first year of hosting the NBA. So I'm going to be keeping an eye out for differences in presentation, an actual game, and all that kind of stuff. Anyways, that's kind of besides the point. After that matchup, the second and only other game happening on opening night will be the LA Lakers versus Golden State Warriors. This one is just like your classic, bringing in the ratings. Curry versus LeBron. They're both going to be healthy. Luka's there looking new, whatever. Really nothing too crazy here, in my opinion. The Lakers are going to smoke this game. They're going to absolutely take it with no problem. Or there's a chance that Curry becomes an absolute god again and, you know, bangs a bunch of threes. We know how it goes, man. We've watched this damn matchup so many times. We know what a Curry versus LeBron matchup is going to look like. But that is all we have for opening day. Those are the only two games. You will notice that the Boston Celtics are not an opening day game, which is a common theme, that the Boston Celtics don't get the major matchups. But anyways, moving forward, we also have the NBA Cup game. I saw somewhere on Twitter that the first NBA Cup, or one of the NBA Cup games, is going to be the Dallas Mavericks versus LA Lakers. That is where we are going to get to see the Luka and, you know, Mavericks rematch battle, I guess. You know, now that the Mavericks have Cooper Flag, AD is going to be healthy around that point in time. That will be kind of like the first real matchup between the two, where we see, okay, did Nico Harrison make the right move, or is the team still going to look good? They won't have Kyrie, but still, I think it's worth noting that is going to be our first look at that rematch. Luka looking healthy, AD is healthy, Cooper Flag there. That's going to be an amazing game. But ladies and gentlemen, let's be honest here, okay? The biggest game out of the entire NBA regular season comes on December 25th. Christmas fucking Day is always the biggest day in all of the NBA. I feel like I just rhymed like 500 times with that. But anyways, the day starts off with a Cavaliers versus New York Knicks matchup. You know, Christmas in the Garden, nothing too crazy about that. They're obviously going to be like two of the main powerhouses in the Eastern Conference. But after that game, no more Eastern teams. The entire East Coast, every team over there is out. That is the only East Coast matchup that we are getting out of the entire day. That is insane. A lot of that is due to injuries, unfortunately, like the Celtics and Tatum being out. The Celtics have also just completely wiped out a lot of their roster for salary reasons. So yes, this is the first time since 2015 where the Celtics do not have a Christmas Day game. And then also the other team that would most likely be getting a Christmas game is the Pacers. And because Tyrese Halliburton is out, you know, they're not going to give them that game. They're not going to give them a finals rematch or whatever. So following that East Coast game, you then have a matchup that is probably my second favorite, if not my favorite out of this entire list. The San Antonio Spurs versus Oklahoma City Thunder. Do you guys remember last year, or even the year before, when the NBA tried pushing the Victor Wembanyama versus Chet Holmgren rivalry? It feels so different now that Chet won a championship, but it looks like they're continuing to push this, like, hey, we have two up-and-coming fun teams. Chet versus Wemby, two super tall, skinny dudes. This game is just going to be a ton of fun. I'm very excited to see it. I've been so high on the San Antonio Spurs as a team. I've made countless videos on it over on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube Shorts, whatever. I think De'Aaron Fox is criminally underrated on this team. I don't think his extension is as bad as everyone else is making it out to be. You then have their two, rookies that are out there, Carter Bryant and Dylan Harper. Devin Vassell. Obviously, you have Victor. I mean, this team is going to be so much fun. It might be hard for them to beat the reigning champions, but hey, I guess we'll have to wait until Christmas Day to find out if they can get the job done. I'm actually going to go over two matchups in this next bit right here. We have the Rockets taking on the LA Lakers, and then the Dallas Mavericks taking on the Golden State Warriors. I'm going to be so honest with you guys. I was so confused when I saw this. Like, I thought Shams made a typo, because would it not make 100 times more sense if you flipped the teams in this? Like, if it was LA Lakers versus Dallas Mavericks, you would then get the Cooper flag versus Luka Doncic, right? We kind of talked about it already with the NBA Cup, but it's like you would then get the hype around that. I mean, the Luka trade has been probably the most shocking thing that has ever happened in the NBA. That would drive so much more attention to it. And then you have the Houston Rockets versus Warriors, which is like old, aging Warriors team with Curry against KD, former Warrior, and this young, fun Rockets team, like, you know, the battle against them. I feel like that'd make way more sense, but anyways, I'll just talk about the actual matchups that we have at hand. Obviously, the Rockets versus Lakers is, I would assume, only here because LeBron and KD rivalry, if I had to guess. I'm trying to think of anything else that happened between these two. Can't really put anything else on there. Obviously, you have to have Luka playing Christmas Day games. That's a no-brainer. The Rockets are going to take this game, though. I'm super high on them as well. Following that, you have, like I said, the Dallas Mavericks versus Golden State Warriors. This one, I genuinely cannot think. I guess Klay Thompson, the Klay Thompson return, but is that even like that big? You're telling me a Klay Thompson return to the Bay is more worth it than a Luka and Mavericks rematch? Like, what are we doing? But either way, those two are going to be very fun matchups. I'm very excited to see how that goes. But the final game, the one that in my opinion is going to be the most fun to watch and could be, you know, the craziest one out of the entire day, is the Minnesota Timberwolves versus Denver Nuggets. These two teams have put up too many good performances in the playoffs for them to give us some whack-ass Christmas Day game. This one, we have Anthony Edwards on Christmas Day, shining, doing crazy shit. Jokic is doing Jokic things. The Nuggets have honestly a new look of a team with all the moves that they have made. I am beyond excited to watch how this Christmas Day performs, how it plays out. But there's one thing that's missing from this Christmas Day, and something that we won't really know until the games actually come around, and that is Christmas jerseys. I'm gonna be honest with you guys, I really don't think we will ever see them come back. Maybe you will get like a Christmas patch on a jersey, right? Remember like the snowflake that they had at some point in time? I think maybe we'll get something like that, but I think the odds of them actually bringing back a full-on jersey dedicated to Christmas, it won't happen, which is weird because the NBA produces so many different jerseys already. It makes them more money because they're getting more jersey sales. Like, why not just pump out a jersey with some cursive on it, throw a snowflake, and call it a day? But yeah, that being said, that is the Christmas Day opening day schedule, along with one NBA Cup spoiler, I guess. This video might be weird because we're just talking about like a schedule, but I love diving into this stuff. And like I said, the storylines that we are getting from this are absolutely insane. So that being said, let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. I read and respond to everybody. Because hey, maybe you guys have some other Christmas Day matchups that you would have wanted instead, like Sacramento Kings versus Chicago Bulls or the Charlotte Hornets against the Detroit Pistons. Like, I don't know what you guys have in mind, but either way, while you're down there, if you can hit the like and subscribe button, that would help out the channel a ton. We are closing in on 50,000 subscribers, halfway to 100K. Things are getting crazy over here. Even though it's the off season, we are still grinding and putting out content. So anyways, I will see you guys all in the next one. Later.